Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Tanya's Treasures. I found this vanity dresser combo on Marketplace for 30 bucks and it had this really thick older mirror. It toppled backwards and busted all in pieces, so I'll be getting that replaced. However, I am very excited to see what this can turn into. I think it's a beautiful piece and it's going to be a gift for my daughter-in-law. So let's get started. So to start with, I'm going to be removing all of the pieces from the top. The vanity portion is a separate piece. It just sits on top of the dresser. I'm going to dismantle and start sanding. Next, I'll be removing all of the original hardware. I gave it a good cleaning and now I'm going in with my Surf Prep sander. Next, I'm just removing all these lock mechanisms on the front of the drawers, and I learned the hard way that when you're prying out the keyhole border, whatever you call that thing on the front, it does tend to crack the veneer, so I have to go back and do some repairs on that later. So I don't know where this came from, but I have this little tool that looks like an ice pick, so I decided to try a different approach. Took my hammer and gave it some pounding from the back to push it out, and that worked a lot better. Here I am going in with my foam sandpaper on my Surf Prep, and it just makes sanding these corners and crevices like a breeze. It makes such a big difference. I am using chalk paint on this project. I am still trying to learn the ins and outs of using chalk paint. Normally you can go on any surface without priming or sanding. I sanded because I wanted to fix some of the imperfections of the piece. I did not prime, and that turned out to be a mistake. One of the tricks I've learned along the way is to keep a water bottle handy. It really makes a difference in moving the paint around. So it doesn't take long before I can see the white paint turning yellow, which means we're having bleed through issues from the wood. So I decided to take some shellac and just spray down my piece really well. It's supposed to be a barrier and stop bleed through. However, it just didn't work. I did another coat after sanding lightly, and I was still having yellowing effects. Then I remembered one of the ladies that I follow on YouTube. She does a 3-in-1 one-step method. You just mix equal parts of paint, primer, and top coat. So I decided that's what I'm going to do and just save myself some time. This was starting to take up a lot of my energy and time. Just needed to get this moving forward. So I did mix all three together. I thought it would fit in this mason jar, but I ended up overflowing it. All I had on hand was one of our plastic food containers from the kitchen, so I had to sacrifice one of those. So after a few coats of this 3-in-1 method, along with my spritz of water, I started to make a lot of progress, finally. Next, I needed to mix some Bondo to fill in all these holes from the old hardware. And then, of course, we're going to sand those back. Now the fun part that I've been waiting for. I can't wait to put these beautiful sunflower transfers on. There are a few spots here that ripped while I was installing the transfers, so I'm going to take my paint markers and just fill that in a little bit. I decided to add a little more protection and do a few more coats of the top coat of polyurethane. I got a nice, beautiful, soft finish on that upper part, so now it's time to pay attention to some drawers for a while. I did a few coats of gold paint on these locking mechanisms. The insides of the drawers needed a really good cleaning. Here I'm using a furniture marker to fill in the color on that Bondo, and I will do the same with the little repair I did around the keyhole. Alright, so now I'm thinking that I want to do a whitewash on the drawers. That's just watered down paint. You use it like a stain. You rub it on and then immediately just wipe off the excess. This just wasn't looking right and it wasn't going to work. So it hit me, what if I did a green wash on these drawers instead of a whitewash? What would that look like? Well, turns out it was quite beautiful. This is kind of an evolving vision that I'm having for these drawers, and it's coming together finally. And while the hardware is soaking in vinegar and dish soap, I'm going to do the drawers with the polyurethane top coat. So I'm just taking some gold gilding wax and going over the metal parts of all of this hardware just so it's all uniform. These top drawers, I was able to keep the original hardware, but the bottom drawers were missing some, so I was able to find some similar and it all worked. For the insides of the drawers, I'm using Mod Podge glue and taking some contact paper, just doing a little bit at a time. You don't want to glue the whole bottom and then have your paper kind of wacky and all wrinkled up. So I just start a little bit at a time and put more glue as I make my way across the drawer. While the bottom layer of Mod Podge is still wet, I do a top layer and let it all dry together. Next, I'm working on the mirror. I'm doing some gold leaf, so I'm putting down the gold leaf adhesive just on the inside track of this mirror frame. I take the little brush and sweep away the excess gold leaf, and then cover it with the gold leaf varnish. And I like the little residue on the white of the frame, so I just leave it. Now with all of that behind me, I'm moving on to the main body of this dresser, giving it a good sanding, and here we have the back. Now it's built with this old rickety cracking wood, so I decide that has to go. So we have a few drawer slides on the inside here that are loose and need to be resecured. So I just drill some holes and add a few screws and it's good to go. Here I'm using 1/4-inch plywood to replace the back of the dresser. So here we have a gap between the drawer slides and the outer wall of the dresser. So I've cut some 1/2-inch wide strips of plywood to place in those gaps. That way the back panel will be totally flush. Here I'm just using a tiny drill bit to create entry points for the nails, and I will nail everything in place. Now that we have this sleek, clean looking back, I'm going to throw a couple coats of paint on there. Alright, so we made it to the home stretch. I have a few transfers left, and after that I will do another coat on top of those with the polyurethane. And I finally did it. I'm done. It took forever and I love the results, and I just really hope my daughter-in-law enjoys this for years to come. Thanks for joining me. Until next time, take care.